I'd like to officially welcome everybody to our regular Wednesday meeting of the Gold Beach Rotary Club. And would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Put the flag back up on the wall there. So again, welcome to our guest speaker, Elijah, and to Assistant Governor Bassett, David. Welcome, thanks for coming today. I'm gonna throw our agenda up on the screen here. Hopefully it's there. And we'll start with that's of course the wrong one. Yeah, this is weird because I had a different quote up and saved that one. So I'm going to stop the share and try this again. That's not the one I wanted. Oh. Even though it's a good quote to have again, but everything else on the agenda is good except for the quote. So let me.
Are you trained on this equipment?
I am, I didn't take advantage of that Rotary, session on how to use Zoom, but here we go. Today's quote is in honor of Hal Holbrook, who passed away this week at the age of 95. This is his quote, "Man looks in the abyss, and there's nothing staring back at him. At that moment, man finds character, and that is what keeps him out of the abyss." So, yeah. So let me get rid of that, and now we'll try see what comes up.
My head hurts after that quote.
What's that?
My head hurts after that quote.
Oh. So again, here's our agenda for today. We're going to continue with any sharing of happy thoughts or announcements. Then we'll have a couple announcements, and then we'll get into our guest speaker, Elijah. And so I'm going to go off screen again here just to see everybody's faces rather than look at an agenda. So this is a good time for any happy thoughts that you'd like to share. Go ahead, Carl.
You may know that yesterday on February 2nd at 7:25 a.m. at Gobbler's Knob outside Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow, and we will have 6 more weeks of winter. I have on my special Groundhog's Day hat, the flag that I normally fly and have flown at the library from time to time. Just doesn't fly high enough in my office. But just thought everyone needed to be reminded, 6 more weeks.
Thank you. And for those of you that don't know, Carl is a native of the Punxsutawney area. And Carl, have you ever been fortunate enough to be present in the park during the announcement?
Yes, several times.
Yeah.
After the movie came out, it became very popular. We had dozens of college students coming in from as far away as Notre Dame. And when it was on a Saturday morning, I was there one year, and they actually had to close the bars in town early and herd everyone out to Gobbler's Knob, which is on a hilltop. And it was a year that there had been freezing rain. And so everyone got to, from about midnight, stand on ice in the middle of nowhere while the wind was blowing and wait for, at that year, I think it was around 6:30 that the sun came up and Phil saw his shadow. You can go to groundhog.org and see a film of this year and last year and compare the two. This year it was virtual. They had cardboard cutouts of attendees.
Oh boy.
And then just the inner circle members of people. And Phil did not have a mask on. They did hold him a distance away when they listened to him give his groundhogese talk. But that started a few years ago when they held him too close to their ears one year,
Bit.
and he bit one of them. So, but Phil was looking pretty chipper. He normally lives in Town Hall in a very climate-controlled area.
So how many years do they get out of a groundhog before he has to be replaced?
He's been doing it since 1885.
Let me rephrase the question. How many different groundhogs have they had play the role?
Oh, I think that, they won't admit to any more than just Phil from 1885.
Now, of
Just
course,
live a very safe life, Brian. He does not have to worry about predators.
very good, very good. Thanks, Carl. That's very enlightening. Thank you. Any other happy thoughts or announcements? I will share that, and I may have shared this last week at our meeting, but this week, as far as school and staff vaccinations, we, as a district employees, we're up close to 90% of our staff have taken advantage of that. And so we're very fortunate again to the Curry Health Network and the hospital for making educators priorities. And we had the county resources to make that happen. I know we're unique across the state of Oregon as far as having that privilege. And so, yeah, I wanted to keep you posted on that. So
We've had about a little over 1,000 people get their first shot, and altogether with first and second shots, we're up to about 1,400. So
very good, very good. And then on a somewhat related note, everyone on the screen knows that I only have 64 more work days. No, just joking. Retirement is in June, but Monday, the posting for my position closed, and we have over 30 candidates who have expressed an interest to come to Gold Beach and be the new superintendent. So quite in comparison to the last time this position was open, there were 5 candidates. And so obviously I'm not a part of the process. I'm just going to stand by as an observer, but the board and the screening committee have quite a daunting task to review the excitement of moving to Gold Beach. So
Ken,
go ahead.
have you seen, you've seen that list, I take it?
I have not, actually.
Oh, you have not?
No,
So you
I'm
don't
not
have an
privy to
idea of the demographics?
I don't have any. I have no zero. That will probably, none of that's public. And so I excused myself, and that's the right word. So that's my update. I had a couple announcements / thoughts just to share. And one came from Denise over the weekend. And as you know, RILA, the Rotary Youth Leadership Academy, happens every summer for sophomores, incoming juniors. And was canceled last year. And it was assumed to be canceled this year, but recently has been re-evolved into a virtual experience for students. It's going to happen in over a series of days after schools and a weekend in April. And so I will be contacting the high school staff to get things going as far as selecting someone to represent Gold Beach High School and be a part of that that activity. And then Carl forwarded me a message this morning, and Assistant Governor David might want to speak to it as well. We received, and again, this is more just of an announcement and not a discussion. We'll discuss it at the board meeting next Wednesday. But there has been an invitation for Rotary clubs in Curry County to consider honoring our veterans with a banner to be displayed in our 3 communities. And so Carl, did you want to add any more to that? And then David, I'll let you add if there's anything that Carl left out.
What they're talking about are things that would be like sidewalk sandwich board signs. It'd be a metal frame and an exchangeable banner from time to time. Connie Hunter sent it to us. I replied to Connie that from my attending Gold Beach City Council meetings, I know Gold Beach Main Streets, in cooperation with the city of Gold Beach, as we all know, has been placing benches and plantings and holiday decorations. I know they're talking about promoting businesses, promotional banners in front of businesses. And I suggested that Connie ought to contact either the City Hall or Main Streets because they are involved with that. And I think they're going to have a much say about it, much more than we would. But I just, and I then saw the one David sent.
Yeah.
But I think that, it's open for discussion at the board. I can, if you wish me to, contact Jody, the city administrator, who I am in pretty regular contact with because I do their program, put their meetings on Curry County Voices, and have a working relationship with her.
Thank you. David, did you want to add any more to that?
Yes, please. Curry County Board of Commissioners have by resolution declared 2021 as the year of solidarity and support for veterans, their families, and service members. And so I looked at what Connie sent from her nephew, who is a Rotarian in the Sweet Home Club. And it's a banner. I actually like Carl's approach better, something that could be outside like a sandwich board that more people would see. But the banner that I saw from Sweet Home was very much like the 4-way test banner. It's something you put up at the front of the room. You could do it at Rotary meetings. You could do it at City Council. It's a way to honor an individual service member. But probably the ones that would be highest priority are those that have been lost, killed in action. And I'm not sure that's really what we want to focus on in our positive meetings, especially helping people, veterans who are homeless. I know Carl has been quite involved in that. So long story short, our board president, Ann, this morning certainly entertained doing whatever we can do. And we've invited Court Boyce to attend the meeting tomorrow by Zoom and tell us more about what he envisions this year of solidarity and support really meaning. So that's a brief report. We're all in. I'm pretty sure Brookings will be too, doing the right thing for our veterans and service members.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. So with that information, we'll bring it to the board next week and have a little bit more discussion. All right. It's my pleasure to, at this point, move to our program. And Elijah, just to give you a little background before I introduce you fully, we're a club that has about 25 members, 27. And when we were pre-COVID, we probably had 15 to 18 people show up for or attend our weekly meetings over a meal. And since COVID, we took advantage of the summer, met in the park during that time, socially distanced with a picnic. But since that time, we've been meeting virtually, and unfortunately, our attendance tends to be around the people you see here today, 7 to 10 people. So you're getting well, I'm sorry, but you're getting the best of Gold Beach Rotary. So I'd like to introduce to everyone else Elijah. I'm going to say Teter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Teter.
And Elijah and I may or may not have met before. I'll have to remind him of our possible crossroad here. But I received a glowing recommendation over the weekend from a Rotarian and who had seen Elijah's presentation and recommended it highly. So I made that contact and I felt very pleased that Elijah was able to speak this week. Elijah, I know we'll have an introduction of sorts, but Elijah is here today with the Y East School, which is located up in Sandy, Oregon, and it's a very unique educational institution. And then there's certainly a broader part of their mission. I don't want to steal the thunder there. So, Elijah, did you have a slideshow or video that you were going to show?
I am going to show a video
Okay.
about maybe halfway through.
Okay, so I've opened it up for you to share. So without any further ado, please welcome Elijah to our meeting.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you guys for having me, and I'm excited to be on here with you. Like Tim was saying, I'm the athletic director over at Y East Academy. And so we're based around Mount Hood, Oregon, in between Portland, which has been food for topic, and in the national news. But we have it pretty good up here in the foothills of Mount Hood. Things I love about this area is it's a glacier / volcano / mountain. So that is Mount Hood. That is what we get to call home. So talking about, pardon my name, Punchatomi, Phil, for the weather forecast. But yeah, we're hoping for more winter. So that's, up here, we actually hope for not seeing the shadow so we can have more winter. But the beautiful thing about having a glacier is it's year-round riding. So I recommend if any of you guys have time and you're feeling a little rambunctious, we'd love to have you out and get you up into the mountains. Yeah, I wanted to get in front of you guys today to kind of talk about the influence I'm able to have with my young students. I've been coaching for about 15 years. I grew up in a competitive family. And so I teach and I look for in my students the outcomes coming out of our school of looking at everything from an opportunity or an obstacle perspective, because everything in life comes back to that simple phrase. Is this an opportunity or an obstacle? Because the state of the world right now, a lot of the kids we get here are used to trying to make it like a victim mind state. The world's in it against them. Everything's out, everything's tough, but we've all been there, right? We're able to reflect on some of our, our experiences. And that's really how you grow, is through experiences. So we try to get our kids out here to have experiences. And so you might get somebody out into nature that has never seen a snowboard, has never seen skis, has never been on a skateboard. But part of that experience is just teaching them how to overcome a perceived fear, right? So I love this quote. It's by Stephen McCrane, and he says, "The master has failed more times than the beginner has tried." And so in that, we try to teach our students that failure is just part of life. It's actually how you grow. Some of your biggest takeaways, at least for myself, and I feel like a lot of my coworkers, is you just got to put yourself and take that first step, right? You take a first step as anything in life. It's usually the fear of putting something off. You have, for a lot of them, they have maybe a disagreement at school, and we try to really instill in them that, no, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. The narrative that you've come up with in your head is more scary than the narrative that's actually going on when you put yourself in that situation, right? And so I want to dive a little bit back into kind of some of my upbringings. I grew up in Southern Vermont, where it can be said that some of the best maple syrup's made, right? I mean, and it's like, yeah, I can attest to that. I got 3 older brothers that can attest to it, a younger sister that can attest to it. We've mastered the process of syrup making back there, and it makes you spoiled. But I was the 4th child in my family, so I always had almost like the fear of fitting in was my biggest fear growing up. And so I overcompensated by being that crazy teenager growing up that was a little bit rambunctious, because I'd always try to get the approval of my friends, right? Who gave me that voice? I had a younger sister who was always trying to make me cry just in the fact of engagement. And so we had a big family, which is, there was a family of 5, which is kind of bigger on today's standards. But what I loved about growing up was that every Friday in elementary school, they would take us up to the mountain. It was only 13 minutes away from our school. And so they would have parents volunteer, and we would go up there every Friday for 3/4 of the day. It was beautiful. So grateful to have that experience as a child. When I was in 1st grade, the parent I got was volunteering, and it's like, I wasn't thinking about that, but the parent I got, they have these palmas. So I don't know if you guys know what a palma is, but a palma is just like a 15-foot pole with a rubber donut at the end of it. You'd stick it between your legs, it'd rip you up the mountain. About 100 feet it'd take you. And so it's a little bit of a learning curve to get it, and it's a very mellow terrain, great for your first timers. But that's where we started, and that's where we finished that season. We didn't make it past that. And I had a little bit of resentment towards our instructor because of it, because all my friends had gone out and gone on the chairlift, and we were stuck here on the palm, just doing it over and over and over again. And so I was like, I really hope I don't get that instructor / volunteer next year. Turns out I get the same parent, and he shows up, and he's not dressed for the mountain, doesn't look like he has any plans to go out on the mountain. And so I assume my place in line and go over to the Palma. We start lapping it, and that's how that day goes. Show up the next week, the same thing. Well, I decide myself, I'm going to go and get on that chairlift. So the 3rd week we go, and when I think he's not looking, I go over to the chairlift, I get on it by myself. As a 2nd grader, I'm trying to carry myself, so I deserve to be there. And it definitely was probably one of my most memorable moments growing up, because it was almost a little act of defiance. I don't know if what the saying is it better to ask for forgiveness after than ask and disobey? But it was a glorious run for me, because that chairlift ride, I just thought about how being in the air, how being out in nature, how something that you sometimes have to defy to find out that experience for yourself. And so when I got up to the top of the mountain, it ended up being really seamless and easy, because our instructor had taught us the mastery of it. So even though it's very steep, a lot steeper than what we were riding, even though I was by myself, I got down like a bird. I felt like a bird flying down that mountain. And I got down to the bottom, resumed my place on the Palma like I had never been gone. And at the time, my instructor didn't say anything until I was leaving. He simply looked at me with eyes of knowing and what I had done, and simply gave me a nod. And so it turned out the next week he showed up, he was actually in his ski gear, and he was ready to go ride the mountain. And so I don't know, in that process, if his really line of logic was, I'm really going to get these guys to master this, so that when they get into adversity, they're going to be able to rise up to the occasion, or if he simply was being lazy. Like, both sides are true. right? If I come up with the context in my mind, yeah, they're both going to be true. You're gonna do what you see. And so it was brilliant for me growing up, because it's funny, because in that experience, that mastery has actually become part of my process, right? I actually refined I'm going to work harder than everybody else out here. And so that I can be the best and show I deserve to move on to this next phase. And turns out, switched to snowboarding a few years later, and following my brother as my mentor, because he was leading the way in something new. Pursued that into X Games, where I started doing X Games at a fairly young age. And that is the run I want to show you guys. It's my X Games run. Let me see if I can do it with this Zoom meeting. Screen share. Here we go. See how quick my practice is. And let me know if you guys can see it. Is that pulling up?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So here you go. I have it on mute. Let me talk you through it. All right. So I had taken the summer this year and really focused in on the quote, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And so I kind of defied my coaches this summer before, and I went out and rode a bunch of slopestyle, which is kind of the opposite of half pipe, which was my specialty. Right. And so feeling the best I've ever felt. Going in, this first one's 2 spins. It's a backside 720. Going into the switch method, which is one of my favorite tricks in snowboarding. One of my more difficult maneuvers, which is a 1080, 3 spins, 720, 2 spins, and then going backwards, switch alley McTwist, which is pretty much a front flip 180, right? Seems pretty good. I mean, I was pretty excited about it. Crowd seemed good with it. That was my second run. I'd fallen first run pretty hard, so that was my second run. X Games, they give you the best out of 3 runs, right? See that little, it was okay. Running through it, the process I'm going through and need to figure out, I have one more run left, right? Where do they put me? They actually end up putting me into 3rd place, right? Right here is why, right? You see this, right? Little touch, right? It's not bad, but they really slow it down. You can really see it well. All right, so my question to you guys, I have one more run. I was in 3rd place the whole time we were waiting on, and the person in front of me, because they run it backwards, drops in, ends up getting a higher score, puts me down into 4th. Now, do I refine that run, or do I go for, I guess, the perceived Hail Mary and just say, hey, I'm going for it. Let's see what happens. I got this run. I've done these tricks before. If I can do this run that I've never done in combination before, it's going to put me on top of this podium. What would you guys do?
You go for it.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Hail Mary. And that's what I did. I did a Hail Mary, right? I dropped in, felt great. Best mindset of my life, right? Feeling great. Dropped in, everything went smooth first hit, smooth back 7, 2 spins, land, riding switch, clean into my switch backside method, which is just a straight air. Go into my second, my first of my hardest maneuvers, 1080, land it bigger, better, grab it longer than my second run. So feeling just amazing. And then I'm coming into that 3rd hit and I'm like, all right, wait, patient, I got this. And go through it, holding, come on. Land heel heavy, wash out, done. Can't get to my last hit, right? It's over, not on the podium. Will end up being my highest finish at Next Games. And I was devastated, right? Best mind state of my life. And I felt like I should have been on the podium anyway, because my second run was good. It should have been there. I had a judge come up after and tell me, hey, I had you in actually 2nd, 3rd place. You should have been up there. But the rest of the judges didn't think so. So he validated my claim. Yeah, I should have been up there, right? Take that into the rest of my season. Man, I should have been up there. It's a judge's fault. It's not my fault. Turns out not fourths. I get a fifth, and then I get a sixth. The last contest of the year, you know, it should have been my best. It was actually back in Vermont, the US Open, when they used to have it back there. And turns out, coming into that event, I actually land that second to hardest trick, the frontside 1080. But in being so excited about it, I don't do a last hit, right? So I do 4 hits instead of 5. Right? My mentors at the top were saying, yeah, go for it if you have space. You're kind of running out of space at the bottom. Go for it if you can. Well, in my mind, I had landed something I'd never done before. I'm going to not go for it. I want to just land on my feet. The judges will see that. Nah, 6th place. Right? Best year of my life, best mindset of my life. I didn't even get on the podium once. Right? Talk about being devastated and just down on myself. Like, I knew I had it, knew I had the capability, but those dang judges, they wouldn't work with me. Well, turns out I end up I met Mike Hanley, who's currently my boss now and part of YAC Academy as our principal, slash probably one of the best coaches I've ever met. And he changed my perception within minutes, right? He told me the judges aren't looking for an insanely crazy run. They're looking for deductions. If you have any deductions, they're going to take it away from you, and that's where they're going to put you. Instantly, my world of 7-8 years of this victimization standpoint flipped upside down, right? It's that opportunity or obstacle. I wanted it to be an obstacle because I didn't want to take ownership of it, right? And so soon after the Olympics, you know, my sister wanted me to come work with her a little bit, but it was too small, one-on-one. I ended up taking a job out in Colorado with a good friend of mine, Ben Boyd, and he ran an academy, ski and snowboard club Vail, and they put me through the ringer. 16, 17-hour days, 6-7 days a week, but they put me through it. Like they tested me because I was new to coaching, and yet with the mind state of I want to be better than everybody else out here, I took that and I worked my butt off, and within a few years, I was actually heading up that program with our most advanced students. Turns out one of those most advanced students was this girl named Caitlin Farrington. And Caitlin she had the grit, she had the resilience, which is kind of what I try to teach with my students currently. What she liked about working with me, because she was currently working with my boss at the time, and she actually switched because I treated everybody equally. I never liked, even if I had a wonderful student that was more excelled than others, I never liked treating anybody unfairly with the amount of time they got with me. If you were your first time snowboarder, you got the same amount of attention as if you were an Olympic medalist, because everybody has an equal chance in my eyes. So she saw that, she saw how I treated everyone, and she actually switched over to that because of it. And so turns out we end up getting into a few other situations that involve that exact same paradigm, right? We're on the 3rd run, right? The US Olympic process qualification is your best 3 out of 5 contests. And so for her, it came down to the last 2, right? My sister was there with us, and she did it as well, but it was the last 2 contests, they both qualified. And for Caitlin, it was 3rd run. She was sitting in 4th, and she had never done a run before that we had done, right? I'd already had the failure of trying something and it didn't work. Do I go for it again? Did I go for the Hail Mary? But knowing that she had actually prepared this time, I did. Yeah, we went for the Hail Mary. She went for it. She landed it, and it paid off. She made herself onto the Olympic team. And so we then took it from there to X Games, which is, again, one of probably the second biggest stage every 4 years comparative to the Olympics. And being up there with her, our goal was just to smile and have fun, because we'd put in the work prior, and it made it a lot easier to just go out there and land runs. She actually ended up in 3rd there, and I was talking to the judges after the event, and they asked me, how do you think she's going to do at the next Olympics? And I said, well, I had the same question asked to me this last summer when we were hanging out with their sponsor, and my boss said she's going to win. I didn't realize it at the time and think it was possible at the time, but I just agreed with them, right? The more I said it, the more I agreed with it. And so by this time, when I was standing in front of the judges, I actually did believe it. I knew she could win it. right? So I say, she's going to win. They're like, you're crazy. Like, your sister's going to be there. Tora Bright's going to be there from Australia. Kelly Clark, who's probably the best female athlete of all time, is going to be there. How do you figure? I said, because we put in the work. We know what it takes. We know it's going to be a creative line. I know it's going to be a creative line that wins. And that's what we worked on. And so, yeah, we showed up there. I actually didn't even know I was going until a week before, because for going to the Olympics, you have to have all these credentials, and like, they usually just hand them out to the people that are part of the national team. I was an outsider. We were outsiders. We were the blackfish, or the black sheep of the group. And so, there's no way they were wanting to make it easy on us. And yet we persevered and got through. She wanted me there. She ended up dropping, I think, $7,000 for me to come on that trip, because she knew she wanted me there. So 3.5 hour commutes up to the event, 3.5 hour commutes back down to the city. It didn't matter, because I knew what it took. I knew that if I worked harder than anybody else out there, and I looked at this event from an opportunity versus an obstacle mind state, we were going to persevere. And we did. Every coach we came up there and talked to, this is the worst pipe I've ever seen. How can they treat these athletes like this? Everything they were saying was an obstacle. I kind of already knew we had won, because simply from that mindset that 90% of the group was operating under. And it turned into that third run, Hail Mary, last run, hadn't done it in contests. She went out, landed it, stepped on top of the podium, and it ended up turning out that my sister was in fourth. So for me, it was very bittersweet, because I had coached this girl through an Olympic medal, but at what cost? My sister ended up in fourth. My family was there. So I was it was hard to celebrate, and yet I knew how much work we had put into it, right? And so it's the story that I've kind of come to with all of this. Everything in life, the story of everything you do comes back to that. How are you operating? Opportunity or obstacle, right? The name of my my snowboard group currently at the academy, we have a WhatsApp group. I called it the Snowboarders with Grit, right? Snowboarders with Grit. For me, that's kind of that snowboarders with resiliency. Right? I think it's very relatable to us right now with COVID, and how you either have the opportunity to view this as an obstacle, or you have this as an opportunity to view this as a opportunity. Right? Even hearing you guys talk about before this meeting and before me even presenting, how it can be good coming out of this. I mean, even the fact I'm able to Zoom call with you guys, this wasn't an option 2 years ago. We weren't even thinking like this. So I think the opportunities that have come out of this situation have been phenomenal. Yes, prayers are out to those that are suffering. Yes, prayers are out to those that have gone through rough circumstances. But again, I think looking at any of this, it's that resiliency is what keeps us going. It's that resiliency that is what builds characters. And that's what I put at the forefront of every student that comes through our program, is finding their own resiliency no matter what they have going on in their own lives. And so for me, it's, if you can change your story, you get to change your life, and then you get to change other people's lives. I want to thank you guys for having me on today. And I just want to open it up if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, I do actually. I mean, a couple of questions. One, I grew up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Where in Vermont did you grow up?
Grew up in southern Vermont, and near Okemo Mountain, so Belmont, Mount Holly area.
Okay, all right. 'Cause we've skied Smugglers, so, but
Okay.
that's the only skiing I've done in Vermont. When you're talking about some of the students, it sounds like some of them are just come from. It doesn't sound like the ski schools like that my kids wanted to go to, which were for zillionaire kids, that
Yep.
cost a lot of money and blah blah blah. But it sounds like it's more for kids who may have some disadvantages. or have issues going on, how much like outward bound are you, or are you?
Yeah, we do. We have an outward bound program. We actually created one just to find experience in the outdoors. And so they're going on hikes, they're going on tours, they're going camping, they're going and having first experience in any of our more sports specific, like for us snowboarding. But yeah, it's just creating that, and even setting big long-term goals, and setting like a 4-year plan. And we look at it where we reverse engineer it. So I know for one of my partners, his 4-year plan for his students is going to an Ivy League school. That is part of his plan. That is a scary goal for him and his students, but you aim at that so that even if you come up shy, you're actually going to be pretty happy where you are, right? So we love saying you aim for the stars so you land on the moon. It's a great I don't know, for us, a little great metaphor. But
just a little bit about the academy. It's like I said, it's located in Sandy. If you've ever gone up Highway 26 east of Portland, you kind of see it on the right-hand side. It's also known as Windles, and it's kind of a year-round. They have skateboard park and trampoline and all the things. But the students who are attending the academy, I was reading a little bit on the website. Somebody got feedback somewhere? No.
oh yeah, it's fine. Let me turn mine.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The students do their activity in the morning. These are resident students. They live in dorms. So they go up on the slopes or go to do their specific training in the morning. They come home for lunch, and then they have their academics in the afternoon, and then additional coaching or something in the evening. And Denise, I know what you were saying about the school being maybe elitist or those who can afford it. This is where, Elijah, how long have you been at the school? Less than 5 years?
Yeah, I've been there. This is going to be my 3rd year.
Okay, so our paths did not cross, but I had an experience with the school about 5 years ago. At that point, I was the superintendent out in Mitchell, which is way out in Eastern Oregon, but we had a mutual friend who lived in the Sandy area. And essentially the school was interested in expanding their curriculum to beyond just snowboarding and skiing. And actually we're going to go into contract with them, bus the kids 2 hours each way to have wood shop or ag shop, just to have some type of vocational balance to their day. And so anyway, obviously that cross didn't happen, but I was aware of the school and so on, and that their clientele, I'm not sure about the economic part, but it's the quality of school and their instruction, and that did attract Olympic athletes that in their teens and internationally as well. And but I appreciate about Elijah's message is I think a different philosophy than I experienced with the school 5 or 6 years ago, and that there is an interest in development of internal character development, and it's not about just getting the gold medal. So kudos to you, Elijah. Other questions or comments?
Thanks, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if nobody else, I have another one. Just elitist school is the word I was trying to come up with, Brian. Tim, thank you. But there's a school in Vermont. My son actually really wanted to go there, and we just sort of went, no. That very much prides itself on training kids for the Olympics for skiing. And I don't know if it's not up in Killington, but are you that type of school?
You got Killington, Mount Snow, Stratton.
Stratton. Is it Stratton?
Might be Stratton. They got Ross
It's an
Powers.
academy. It's a very elite boarding school.
Yep.
But
yeah, I mean,
is that what yours is like?
You can. There has been Mike Hanley, who I'll actually throw a shout out to him, who I would recommend you guys trying to get on as well, because he actually took kids through this program here and actually developed them into Olympic medalists. And he actually took a few of them. So, it's coming into almost that process of how you do anything is how you do everything. So it's like, if you're going to be a good, even a good Olympian, you're going to be good at school. You're going to be good at your public relations. You're going to be good, hopefully a good human being, is really at the forefront of what I try to do with all of my students. So that, you're going and being a benefit to society. You're going and helping out, looking for ways to do that. But yeah, we have students who come through and they have that dream. They want to be a professional snowboarder, skier, skater, mountain biker. But if you're always aiming at that, right? So you have one kid that does that, what happened to the rest? To me, you're failing the rest of your students if you're only focused on that one thing, because there's only 3 medals at the Olympics, which is every 4 years, right? So if that's your sole aim of a program, I think you're kind of failing. But it is good to set your aspirations high. But that's great questions. Yeah, I'm gonna read through just, you guys are still going through questions, just for Hanley. Hanley loves Winston Churchill, so I wrote down a few of what he had. I got 2 of them for you guys. Success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm. I love that quote. And then I think Hanley's favorite quote, because he was actually a historian in his college studies. The further back you can look, the further forward you are likely to see. Winston Churchill, one of his favorites.
All right. Any closing comments or questions for Elijah?
Very interesting program. Very nice program.
Thank you, yes. And Burke Mountain was the school I was trying to think of.
Okay. Okay.
I frankly tried skiing. I tried skiing once, as Denise says, at Smuggler's Notch, and it was 2 degrees at the foot of the hill. But for many years, I represented 2 or 3 of the resorts on Killington Mountain Road, and would have the pleasure of driving up in a blizzard, spending the night in the ski lodge, and then going to court the next morning, sober.
Yep.
Well,
that's what, it's almost inherent in the East Coast. You got almost like you just get formed into your grit. It's just part of your everyday activities. That's what I love about it. It's great. It's great.
Well, thank you very much, Elijah. Yeah, I just want to say it's one of the better programs that we've had, and I like a lot of enjoyed the stories and the philosophy that you put out, and this opportunity versus obstacle thing. I think we all have differences of opinion, but to me, so much of this teaching in our society today is you're a victim, and then everything flows from that. I think if we look at things differently in a more positive way, I think that's much more helpful.
Absolutely.
Love that. Thanks, Gary.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, thanks again, Elijah. Have a great rest of your day and second semester and in the year round working with kids. For the rest of us, next week is board meeting at this time, and we'll be back with another program on the 17th and social on the 24th. This is our new pattern of for meetings. I got a lot of great comments about last week's meeting in the evening, and Brian, I know you were sorely missed, and you would have been definitely a contributor. So, but at the same time, thank you for your dedication to the hospital board and in that celebration. So with that, I wish everyone a great day, great week, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and Tim, real quick,
Yeah.
Can we put on the agenda for next week? I would like to talk about when we can start meeting in the park again. Maybe that could be done in March or something. But and then also I would like to give a talk on baseball cards, if that's okay, sometime. But probably when we can meet in person.
Perfect. Have you read that book that Jeremy suggested, the Wax Pack?
No, I've got to read that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got it checked out right now. I'll get it finished so you can check it out. So, all right, very
Yeah.
good, Jerry. Duly noted on those. And thanks again to our
Don't-
guests. Oh, go ahead,
don't
Carl.
forget-
Sorry.
Don't forget Sunday, you can watch Tom Brady win another Super
Oh,
Bowl.
okay.
Oh,
Thank you for the reminder, Carl. I'm
okay.
surprised you haven't got your. I know you'll have your good luck jersey on, even though it's in blue.
I have my Tom Brady T-shirt on under
Yeah.
my main sweatshirt.
There we go. Well,
We are such New Englanders. Oh, boy.
yeah.
Tthank you, Elijah.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey,
All
thank
right.
you guys.
All right.
Take
Take care,
care.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.